My name is Marion Dicke, and I live in West Africa. Well, I've worked in Africa for a number of years, but over the last, since 2000, so over the last 9 years, I've been involved in doing member care of international workers from a number of different denominations. And I think what keeps me in Africa and what keeps me going back is just being able to come alongside international workers and to help them as they process difficult things that they are experiencing, and seeing the resilience of our international workers and wanting to do all I can to contribute to the health of our workers. The organization that I'm a part of is called the Mobile Member Care Team, and our mandate is to provide crisis training and response for cross-cultural workers, such that they will be resilient and be able to persevere over the long haul. And to do that, we do a lot of training, particularly for company administrators and leaders. We train them in crisis response, how to come alongside their workers in times of difficulty, and in our West African area it would be things like armed robberies, hostage taking perhaps, civil unrest due to war, evacuation out of their country, those kinds of crisis situations that come up, but also some of the ongoing challenges, burnout because of perhaps overwork or maybe not a good job fit for the particular job that they're in. So just coming alongside workers, helping them to process a difficult event that's taken place, and allowing them to move toward health and healing, and hopefully to stay on the field. Well, when I worked in DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, I went through evacuation a couple of times, through some holdups by our military policemen, some difficult things, and a lot of my colleagues went through difficulties as well. And I remember at the time, I have a nursing background, and because of that, I remember trying to come alongside people who had gone through those kinds of circumstances, but also understanding myself that I was impacted. I wasn't always sure how to deal with the impact of that, and so when I had the opportunity to do more training in the area of the impact of trauma on our whole being, when I had the opportunity to explore a little bit my own theology of suffering and how that impacts the way I respond to situations, I realized that this is a whole field of need, and I guess I had to work through that myself. Had to come to grips with, what does the Bible say about suffering? Not that we can be removed from it, but that we need to understand what we are called to. And then once we understand that, what are the things that will help me persevere? I think for me, just understanding the importance of being in a community and wanting to promote healthy community with the people that I come alongside with, those kinds of things have really impacted me. We're called to risk, and we're called to a life of faith, and we wouldn't be in some of these, and I appreciate about the Alliance that we have that mandate to go into these difficult areas and to bear witness to Christ. But these areas are tricky, and I think they call forth the most resilient workers we have. And I believe that we have a responsibility as we send workers into these places to make sure that they're prepared in every way, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. And so I think a theology of risk is understanding that we're called to do those things, but also understanding that as an organization, and those of us who come alongside people who are doing those kinds of things, that we are also called to put a support system in place, to be sure that people are adequately prepared, have spiritual resources that they are able to access, that these are people, the people that we send into these high-risk situations are people who have a solid foundation and spiritual disciplines in place, all of those things. Those are the people that I think we should be sending into these high-risk areas. Even perhaps people who have previously had a track record in other areas of the world where perhaps it hasn't been as much high risk, where they've had an opportunity to have their faith and their risk put into practice and to be able to formulate their own theology of suffering. Well, I think one of our real core values for MMCT, for the Mobile Member Care Team, is community development and having the community really be strong and caring for one another. And in the countries that we work, 14 West African countries, we understand that it can't be all of the care that needs to happen for people when they go through difficult times can't happen from a group of experts, but it needs to be the one another's. And I'm a real firm believer in the one another's. And peer responders are those international workers who have a certain calling and gifting to come alongside their colleagues in times of crises. Maybe just they have that calling, they have certain gifts, but maybe need some extra skills to be able to do that well. And so what we have done is train about, it was over 100 peer responders spread throughout the West African region. These are people that their colleagues can call on when perhaps they've gone through an armed robbery, or maybe they're going through a difficult loss or adjustment to the country because of maybe they've transitioned from another country. These are people that are trained and ready to go when their colleagues experience difficulty. At the moment, we're presently in West Africa. East Africa is poised to begin a team. We've already identified one or two team members in that area. North Africa is also in the process of developing a team, and eventually Central Asia, many different places around the world, but these are the ones that are in process. Middle East is another one that has shown a lot of interest. I think a great prayer is for resilience. Resilience in every area of their lives, that they will not become weary with well-doing, but that they will continue to, not just to work and to, endure, but that they will endure with joy and with gladness in what they're doing. I think praying for protection for our international workers. We're sending people into very risky areas, and with our team we've had to deal with actual murders of missionaries or of international workers. So protection, resilience, joy, those are some of the things.